Good, everybody. It's your boy Ropes. I want to talk about everybody being mad with Charles Barkley over his statements over Ferguson and Mike Brown and the black community. Now, he made some statements about Ferguson, and he said some stuff about the black community that he said before in the past. It's nothing new. We've heard him say this stuff before. But he was basically saying that he agrees with the jury's decision, and they made their decision based off evidence, forensic evidence, and all that stuff. Now, me personally, I knew from the moment that they reported this story that it was going to turn into a political campaign, and not to really believe anything that I hear about the fucking story, because it only took a couple of hours for the story to start going all over the place and shit. Witnesses saying the exact opposite fucking thing, just like with the Trayvon Martin case. Okay, and I just want to tell you this. If you thought for 1 second that that police officer was going to go to jail for killing that kid, then you're stupid as fuck, okay? We can rewind it all the way back to the 90s, where we had video footage of the police beating the shit out of Rodney King, hitting him repeatedly upside the head with batons, kicking the shit out of him, calling him a nigger and all types of shit. We had all of that shit on tape, proof that it was excessive force, and them motherfuckers didn't have to pay for it. This is nothing new. I don't know why people are all in the uproar and all of this shit, because we should have known that shit was going to happen already, based off of history. And it's going to keep on happening unless everybody comes together and realize that something has to be done about the police. Okay, but let's get back to Charles Barkley. Now, people are upset because he was saying that the people who were looting in Ferguson were scum, and the black community is screwed up. They frown upon a kid who wants to get an education, who wants to speak properly, who doesn't want to sag his pants and act like a thug and act like a fool and shit like that. People are upset with him for saying that. But let me ask you this question, okay? I'm not going to answer the question. I'm going to let everybody answer this question for themselves. You don't have to leave a comment, anything like that. Just answer the question to yourself, because you know what the answer is already. You can't lie to yourself. You can try to, but deep down, you're going to know what the real answer is, okay? Now, here's the question. If there's a kid in the hood, in a black community, let's say it's a semi-bad or it's a bad neighborhood, and you have a kid who wants to stay out of trouble, who doesn't want to sag his pants, who doesn't want to be a thug, who just wants to go to school with his backpack and his books and his glasses, and he just wants to get an education so he can have a better life for himself as an adult, and he can move about the hood. How is that kid going to be looked at in the hood, in the black community? Answer the fucking question to yourself, okay? Because we all know what the answer is to that already. So why are people upset with Charles Barkley for saying this shit? If you're embarrassed about it, see, because that's what I think it is. I think that people are more upset that Charles Barkley, being a black man, he shouldn't be saying this to white people. He shouldn't be saying this to other people, because this is a secret. We just want to keep this to ourselves. We don't want people to know this about us. But the fact of the matter is, they know this already about us. This is no secret. So if you're embarrassed about it, because that's what it really is, you're embarrassed that he's sharing this with white people, which I don't like Charles Barkley. I do think he's somewhat of a coon. You know what I'm saying? Not because he is talking about, education is important and all that type of stuff. But I just think it's just funny coming from him, because he was one of the biggest buffoons that the sport of basketball had ever seen when he was playing. But anyway, if you're embarrassed about it, about what he said, because that's what it is, then why not do something to change that then? Why not encourage your peers to get an education and get up out of that shit? Because you want to drag them down with you. That's the reason why. What Charles Barkley said was not a fucking lie. It wasn't a lie. It's absolutely true. Nobody can deny that shit, man. If you deny it, you're in denial. That's what it is. That's a fact of the matter, man. This is true. You're going to call that kid who wants to go to school with his books in his backpack, you're going to call him a square and a punk, and you're going to want to bully him and shit like that. We all know this already. Yes, education is frowned upon in certain black communities. I'm not going to say everyone, but at least the bad neighborhoods where you would consider to be a bad neighborhood, hoods where there's thugs and shit like that, he's going to be considered a square if you don't want to do that shit. I know it, you know it, and there's just no denying that shit, man. So my question is, what are you going to do about it? You're embarrassed. What are you going to do about it? You want to keep it a secret, but you don't want to do nothing to change the shit. This is the truth, man. And getting back to the Mike Brown situation, I want to talk to the parents, in black communities. What the fuck are y'all doing, man? When are y'all going to move y'all kids out the hood? Honestly. Stop saying you can't do it. There's no way to do it. Yes, you can. You could move out the hood, man. I lived in the hood before my kids were born, before my first two were born. I was in the hood, man. And I said, you know what, man? I don't want my kids to grow up in this fucking environment and become a product of this shit. And I definitely don't want them to go to school anywhere around this motherfucker. So I better get my shit together so that we don't have to live in the fucking hood. So they don't have to grow up like that. And I moved to a middle-class mixed neighborhood where it was everybody. It wasn't predominantly anything. And the kids reacted different to each other. One day, man, I was tripping. I was sitting out on my balcony after school. And I just saw mixed kids walking together, just having fun and laughing and shit. And I was thinking to myself, I don't remember that, man. I didn't experience that as a kid. Everything was segregated and shit. Like, this is a different fucking time. This is good. These kids look fucking happy. They don't have to worry about another race running up on them, trying to jump them in riots and all of that dumb shit. So when are y'all gonna get your kids up out the hood? Because I'm willing to bet that if Mike Brown's mother hadn't been so fucking lazy and making excuses for herself, that he may still be alive today. And this is not to take away from the racist ass officer who gunned him down. We all know that that was excessive and he didn't have to do all of that. But what I'm saying is she does play a fucking role in that shit too, okay? She could have moved him out the hood and he may still be alive today if she had brought him up in a different fucking environment. That's what I feel about the whole thing. But anyway, that's my video. Drop your comments. I'm out.